A traffic stop leads to drug charges for a Fulton man. On Wednesday, February 18th, Itawamba County deputies pulled a vehicle over on Highway 178 in Fulton. During the stop, they searched the vehicle and reportedly found methamphetamine and a gun. They then called in agents from the North Mississippi Narcotics Unit who reportedly found another bag of meth. The driver, Jarek Scott Keys, was arrested and taken to the Itawamba County Jail. But that wasn't the end of the investigation. When they got Keys to the jail, they reportedly found meth in the floorboard where he had been sitting and a metal container with more of the drugs on his person when he was being processed. Keys is charged with felony possession of methamphetamine enhanced with a firearm and tampering with evidence. His bond is set at $60,000. West Point police have a person of interest in custody in connection with a shooting February 19th. Police were able to bring Jalen Lamon Little in earlier this afternoon. The department put out a post Sunday asking for the public's help in finding Little. They believe he has information about or may have been involved in a shooting on Meadowbrook Circle last Thursday that left 2 men injured. Tips from the public helped locate Little. This case is still open. Anyone with information should call the West Point Police Department or Golden Triangle Crime Stoppers. The University of Mississippi Medical Center clinics will remain closed statewide on February 23rd and 24th. According to CBS affiliate WJTV, this comes after UMMC was hit by a cyber attack on February 19th. The hospital's teams are continuing to respond to the cyber attack and working with federal and state agencies and national experts in cybersecurity. UMMC officials say phone systems and ability to receive or send emails remain down or unreliable. The UMMC emergency departments and hospitals in Jackson, Madison County, Grenada, and Holmes County are open and caring for patients. Officials said they're working on a solution for patients who need to contact them with routine medical and medication needs. UMMC has contacted patients receiving ongoing time-sensitive care to arrange treatment. Starting today, Shannon Elementary is enforcing a new drop-off and pickup route for car riders. Drivers will now enter through Shannon Elementary parking lot. They will then pull through an awning and exit onto Hodges Avenue South. You can see the layout of the map here on your screen. Last week, the Lee County Sheriff's Department announced they would no longer have a traffic control officer at Shannon Elementary or primary schools due to safety concerns. Last Thursday, an officer was nearly struck by a truck, and earlier this month, Deputy Rick Haggard was killed after being struck by a vehicle. Lee County Sheriff Jim Johnson is working with the Lee County School District Superintendent and the Mississippi Department of Transportation to come up with a more effective way to safely handle school traffic in the area. Local and state agencies are still assessing the damage of a Lowndes County dispensary. Possum Town Farms caught fire Sunday afternoon. Lowndes County Fire and the Sheriff's Department assisted the state fire marshal with the damage assessment today. Dispensary employees say fire started on the upper level of the building.
It's major damage to the front part of the structure. The back part, like I said, not as much actual fire damage. Most of the fire damage is in the front part of the building.
Our lobby and our conference room and our reception is completely gone, as you can see behind me. The dispensary is somewhat standing. That's what maybe gives us hope about rebuilding in the future and possibly opening up again.
The fire is still under investigation. Investigators and trading partners are nervous as they try to figure out what is next after President Trump announced new 15% global tariffs in response to the Supreme Court ruling, which wiped out some previous tariffs. Erica Brown has more details from Capitol Hill.
Markets took a tumble Monday amid the uncertainty over President Trump's tariff policy. He announced a new import tax on all countries after Friday's Supreme Court ruling, striking down most of his tariffs.
We're not going to stop our program. We'll just use the congressional authorities they've extended already for now.
In a 6-3 ruling, the justices said the president's use of an emergency powers law to levy sweeping tariffs was unconstitutional. In response, the White House turned to the Trade Act of 1974 to impose a 15% global tariff. European leaders say the new taxes violate the trade deal the EU made with the U.S. last July and delayed a vote to ratify the agreement.
We want to have clarity from the United States that they are respecting the deal.
On social media, the president threatened any country that wants to, quote, play games with what he called a ridiculous Supreme Court decision will be met with a much higher tariff, adding, buyer beware. The Trade Act the White House is relying on now only allows the president to impose tariffs for 150 days unless extended by Congress.
I doubt very seriously that any additional tariff authority is going to be energetically supported by most Republicans.
It's going to be, I think, a challenge to find consensus on any path forward on the tariffs.
President Trump rejected that notion Monday, saying he does not need congressional approval to impose new tariffs.
Several businesses have announced they will sue the administration to recoup the money they paid for the tariffs that the Supreme Court ruled were unconstitutional.
Today was a calm but very chilly day in across northeast Mississippi and western Alabama. We have a regional high pressure system that's helping to keep conditions calm and clear as we go into our Monday evening. As we continue through the night, temperatures are going to go from where they are now anywhere from the upper 30s, low to mid 40s, down below freezing, heading towards temperatures tonight in the low 20s to potentially some upper teens. Currently it's 39, Oxford, Tupelo 41, and Aberdeen, West Point, Starkville, and the Columbus Air Force Base all sitting at about 43. So if you head out later today, make sure you're bundled up.
Well, the U.S. Embassy in Mexico told Americans who are in that country to continue sheltering in place Monday because of ongoing security operations there. It comes after Mexican authorities killed the leader of that country's most powerful drug cartel, sparking retaliatory attacks. Karen Waugh has the latest from Mexico City.
Social media footage captured the panic at the Guadalajara airport Sunday as plumes of smoke could be seen outside.
You saw the ground workers running around, going inside, like trying to hide.
Juliana Perez, who made it back to Houston, described the cartel-related violence she saw.
It's not unusual in Mexico, just didn't think anything of it. Kept going, saw another car on fire, like, okay, that's kind of weird.
Guadalajara was one of many areas that erupted in violence Sunday, as Mexico's most notorious drug cartel fiercely retaliated after Mexican special forces killed their leader, Nemesio Ruben Oseguera Cervantes, widely known as El Mencho. The cartel he led has the highest cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine tracking capacity in Mexico, according to the U.S. State Department. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum urged calm Monday
Amanecimos sin ningún bloqueo en ninguna de las carreteras.
And said the hundreds of roadblocks set up by the cartel across the country had been cleared. Many American tourists remain stranded in Puerto Vallarta, including Adrian Moorfield and TJ Perry.
You're kind of there indefinitely.
There were no outgoing flights until Thursday. That does not take into consideration whether or not roads will even be open, the airport will be operating again.
The violence in Guadalajara comes just a few months before Mexico's second largest city is scheduled to host FIFA World Cup matches. Karen Waugh, CBS News, Mexico City.
Mexico said that U.S. forces did not participate in the El Mencho operation, although the U.S. government has been known to share intel with resources with Mexico to counter cartels. Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced Monday that he directed the Texas Department of Public Safety to enhance public safety and homeland security operations across Texas in response to escalating cartel violence in Mexico. The area's only homeless shelter now has a dedicated space for those who have served this country. We'll tell you more after the break.
telling your story. You're watching WCBI News with Grace Brister.
Welcome back. The area's only homeless shelter now has a dedicated space for those who have served this country. Tupelo's Salvation Army has opened a shelter for U.S. military veterans. The shelter can hold up to 8 people and has its own living area, washer and dryer, and other amenities. The veteran shelter is in the building that once served as a men's dormitory before the new shelter was opened several years ago. The space was remodeled with new flooring, paint, furniture, and other improvements. The Salvation Army works with the Lee County Veterans Administration representative to help ensure veterans are getting assistance they need, including counseling, medical services, and assistance to find long-term housing. Various community groups and individuals helped with the renovation.
Our veterans put their life on the line so we can enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy today. And so we know that they've given back to our country with a great sacrifice and their dedication to the welfare of all of us as Americans and the things that we are able to enjoy today. This section here is also set aside that they can have their privacy, but also be in camaraderie with one another.
The Home Depot Foundation donated materials and labor to help renovate the veterans shelter. A Mississippi State alumnus who travels the globe shared his experience with Rotarians. Steve Brandon has been to Africa 16 times on photo safari to 12 different countries. Today he spoke to the Starkville Rotary Club about traveling the great wildebeest migration of the Serengeti, which he has experienced 4 times. The migration consists of wildebeest, zebras, and gazelles. This region has 350,000 annual visitors a year compared to Yellowstone National Park, which has over 4 million every year. Brandon says this is a 1,800-mile round trip, which makes it about 5 miles a day in eastern Africa, and the Great Migration occurs in the Serengeti National Park of Tanzania and the Masai Mara National Park of Kenya. Brandon says the beauty he sees in Africa every year keeps him going back. He says he hopes Rotarians take away motivation to explore here and other parts of the globe.
I really hope that they go themselves to experience the majesty of going and seeing this, but at least listening to me in these programs, come away with a sense of conservation and a sense of the beauty and majesty of our wilderness in both the United States and in Africa and all the other places around the world.
Brandon will take his next trip to Africa this May. Brandon lives in Chattanooga but has spoken to the Starkville Rotary Club for 12 years. Next year, Brandon plans to speak to Rotarians about the 6 largest cats in the world.
There will be a gradual increase in our temperatures through the week, heading towards our next round of rain. More on your forecast after the break.
Your WCBI First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Ashley Bryant.
It's been a calm and sunny but cool and breezy day here in Northeast Mississippi and Western Alabama. This high pressure system you see here just off to our west, that's helping to keep conditions calm as we're continuing into our evening. But this clear sky is really what's going to allow temperatures to take a dive as we go through the next several hours. Right now, anywhere from the upper 30s to the low to middle 40s. 37 currently, New Albany, Oxford, 40 in Bruce, 41 Aberdeen, Vernon, and Millport. Currently 43 in the Golden Triangle to our south, 46 in DeKalb. As we continue through the next several hours, we are falling out of the 40s through the 30s, and eventually we're going to drop our way into the low 20s. Columbus low tonight, 21. A freeze is expected. Very cold conditions, but luckily we have a much calmer wind heading our way as we continue overnight tonight. The rest of the corner looking to be in those low 20s. 20 degrees as the overnight low for Vernon and Millport, Houston and Bruce. 21 again, Columbus as well as Tupelo and Eupora. 22 Oxford, Winona, West Point, Starkville. 23 for most of our southernmost cities, with this clear sky sticking around as we go overnight tonight and into our Tuesday morning. By the afternoon, we're going to have a shift in the wind that's going to start bringing in some moisture, eventually increase some cloud coverage. Temperatures will work their way into the 50s. High at 51, Iuka 52, Corinth 56 for Aberdeen, West Point, Columbus, Vernon, and Millport, as well as Macon. Eupora, Ackerman, Winona 57, Carthage there in our southwestern corner, expecting a high around 58. Now, as we go through the next little bit, this high pressure system is going to sink its way south into the Gulf, and that's going to help change the direction of the wind, pulling a lot of that moisture back in. It's going to be a slow buildup as we go through the afternoon. We'll see most of our clouds by tomorrow evening coming in from the north as well as from the south. Now, once we go into our Wednesday, most of the day is expected to stay dry. It's when we cross into our evening that a little bit of that rain potential moves back in, especially across the northern third of our coverage area. In terms of percentages, we're looking to stay mostly dry Tuesday and most of Wednesday, building in that percentage as we go Wednesday night into our Thursday, when we jump up to a 60% chance of showers and a few rumbles of thunder, drying back out as we go Friday and Saturday, another isolated chance Sunday and Monday of next week. So for now, keep your warm jackets, but eventually we're going to need the rain jackets. Temperatures look to be in the low to mid 70s by the weekend.
Plastic cups.
Telling your story on WCBI Sports with Avery Cameron.
Well, Ole Miss had a tough test in Columbia Sunday, falling to the number 3 ranked South Carolina Gamecocks 85-48. The Rebels were able to compete early on, but 5 games in 10 days started to show. By the second half, the defending national power found its rhythm and Ole Miss couldn't stop the run. Loose balls and second chance opportunities are those little championship plays that all ended up swinging the other way. And once South Carolina got rolling, it was hard to slow them down. With 2 games left in the regular season, including another road test at Florida on Thursday, the Rebels know there's no room for slip-ups.
South Carolina is very good. I thought that we had some chances to do some things. And I remember there were a couple like championship plays, loose ball plays, and they came on the winning side of it and started their run, and I felt like it was a snowball effect. Obviously, the next 2 games are very important to us. I don't think we can afford to drop those.
Meanwhile, in Starkville, Mississippi State men are adjusting after a scary moment on Saturday. Jaden Epps left the game against South Carolina with a painful injury, but fortunately, head coach Chris Jan says it's not a long-term one. For the Bulldogs, the plan is simple, and it's get him back when he's 100%. But in the meantime, the Maroon and White don't have time to slow down. It's a next-man-up approach, and we already saw that play out in the second half against South Carolina, even without a warning.
We just went through it without warning in the second half against South Carolina, where that's exactly, that scenario played out, where Jabari played more minutes than probably he would have normally, and King Grace had to play some 2, where he'd been playing mostly 3, and so it's just kind of a next man up mentality.
Coming up after the break, we'll have a final look at your forecast.
As we continue our way through the week, temperatures are going to be on a gradual climb, mid-50s for Tuesday, middle to upper 60s for Wednesday. But at that same time, our rain potential moves back in Wednesday night into our Thursday. So be aware of showers and maybe a few thunderstorms as we go throughout the day on Thursday. Temperatures look to stay warm, though, into the weekend.
All right, thank you, Ashley. That's all the time we have. We'll see you at 6. Mic check, mic check. Thank you for joining us.
Check 1 2 3. Mic check 1 2. Check.
Mic check, 1 2 3.